Hey, family. Hello, I am live multiple places at once, so I just want to say hello and good evening. Happy Monday. All right, it is your girl, Shakti, and today we're going to talk about something really provocative, and you should be really excited. So if you're seeing the title of this live and you're like, get what you want every time with one thing, like, what is she talking about exactly? So I will admit the title is provocative on purpose because what I'm going to teach you in this live video is actually really, really important for you to be able to approach anything in life that you want to accomplish or attain and maybe currently don't have the confidence or the follow through to get what you want. So if you are someone currently watching this live and you have this history, okay, I'm gonna break it down for you. You have a goal, and there's three really simple areas to look at this, okay? So the three simplest areas for you to observe this thing that I'm gonna talk about. Number one is in weight loss, okay? So maybe it's weight gain or weight loss or a fitness goal or a food relationship goal or, hey, Bridget, or something like that. It could be any one of those. So think weight, think food, think body image, think habits, just like exercise habits. So think any of those things that you typically say, I want to change or I want to get better at, and then you don't. Or you'll start something and you'll stop, and you start something and you'll stop. That's one example. The second one is relationships, okay? So think the example of, I would love to have a partner that is lovely and that is a good partner to me and that we have stuff in common and that we get along and it's a healthy, beautiful relationship. That's example number two, right? How many of us say that and then that's not what happens? The third example is with money. And where I typically see that, it could happen in a job, but I really see this with people who want to start a business. Any business, brick and mortar business, online business. I've done it all. I've talked to people who have done it all. I've mentored people who have done it all. So I see that in those three areas. Okay. So if you have done this, committing and then not seeing it through in weight loss, drop me a 1, or in body image related stuff. If you've done this in romance, drop me a 2. And if you've done this in business or economy, money, drop me a 3 in the comment box right now. And if you've done it in all three areas, drop me a 1, 2, 3. And if you're watching the replay, drop me your numbers below, okay? So what numbers am I talking about? If you've been the kind of person to say, I have X goal to lose this amount of weight, to find this kind of partner, to start this business, or to earn this much income or whatever, and then you never follow that through, okay? Drop me a 1 for the weight loss, a 2 for the relationship, a 3 for the money, okay? I want to see where you are. Okay, Bridget, drop me a 1, 2, 3. So as I wait for those to come in, I just want to give a shout out to my patrons because those are the ones who make these kinds of videos possible. I sat down, did all this research for this video. And so thank you guys so much. I always try to give you guys a shout out before and after my videos, but I want to wait to get some juicy numbers in here. Okay, I got a 3. Hello from YouTube. Okay, number 3 with the money and the economy. That's a big one. Okay. So what I'm going to teach you right now is so important because what's going to happen after this live video is you are never going to make decisions the same way. After this live video, you're going to know exactly where you're making a decision from and how to make sure you make a decision differently so you can finally accomplish the thing that you want to accomplish. Okay? That should be very exciting to you because the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is a decision. But right now, you don't know what that means because that could literally mean anything, okay? So I'm going to teach you how to know where you are deciding from. And after this video, your life will be a different place. And the reason I can teach confidently on this is because it's how I've done everything. It's how I started businesses when I was 21. It's how I lost the 35 pounds and kept it off. It's how I have done everything in my life. is with this thing that I'm about to drop on you. Okay, so you should be pumped. All right. If you're just hopping on, please say hi. And if you're watching the replay, please say hi as well. Okay, so here's what happens when it comes to decision making. And I'm going to quote an article in a little bit. I'll include the article and the details, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook or wherever you're watching from. You're going to get the article link. And I'm going to quote it in a second. But first, I want you to understand how you make basic decisions. Okay, so whether it is starting a program to finally lose the weight, going on the date, or signing up for the dating site so you can finally find the partner, or starting the business that you've been dreaming of having, or finally earning the income you want to earn, okay? You're going to make a decision primarily from two places, okay? If you've watched any of my videos, you now understand that I've talked about the 3 levels of the brain a little bit in my videos, you know, the subconscious, the conscious, the superconscious, right? We all have all 3, okay? And we operate in all 3 different sectors of our lives, okay? But how most of you, myself included, most of us make decisions is in 2 places, the subconscious or the superconscious. Let me explain, okay? The subconscious is the part of your brain that is programmed from 0 to 7, okay? This is an imprinted brain. It's imprinted with emotion, symbol, patterns and templates from your caretakers, from the environments you were in when you were small, from the messaging that you received really little, from the things that you were exposed to, okay? What the subconscious does is it creates a thermostat for the way that you see the world and operate in the world. And I'll give you an example of that in my life, okay? So in my life, when it came to the template of weight, for example, my family was constantly commenting on my appearance. So every gathering, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every whatever, I would go into a panic because I was immediately like, some aunt is going to tell me I look fat. Someone else is going to tell me that I look too thin the next year. Someone else is going to, why do you have muscle? You know, like it was always a commentary on my body. So very young, I got acquainted with getting anxious around my body. Okay, how many of you can relate to that? Drop me some comments if you can relate to that, because of what I was exposed to. So it set a certain thermostat for my appearance and how I was nervous about my appearance from the time I was very young. And what that did later was create patterns, coping mechanisms for feeling better, which totally revolved around food. Like I would eat to feel better and comforted, basically. Hey, Shay, what's up? So that's how that showed up. Hi, Diana. That's how that showed up when it came to my body. Okay, so when it came to relationships, I had a thermostat that I was difficult. I was complicated. I was difficult. I was dramatic. Nobody understood me. Nobody was ever going to understand me. Okay. Nobody was ever going to be able to be, because I was just too much. That was my template. Okay. So what ended up happening was I would get into these relationships, and even though I thought the person was awesome and I was happy in the relationship, I would immediately self-sabotage that relationship by being, you guessed it, over the top and almost making myself too much, too complicated, too whatever. And no matter the effort the other person put in to meet me wherever I was, it was never going to be good enough because I needed to prove myself right. Okay. Okay. So Bridget is saying, yes, that happens in her family as well as like the appearance comments. Okay, so Hannah was taught that women's bodies are basically evil and cause men to stumble. Okay, so think about some of this programming, you guys. Really think about some of these things that you heard really, really young. Okay, and I just gave you the example of romantically, the kind of mindset that I was in and imprinted with, right? Because when I was young, I was told I was complicated, I was too much, I was a drama queen. So that's what I grew up with in my brain. And that's what I mimicked when I went into relationships, okay? Then when it came to money, I am a first-generation immigrant kid. My parents were Cuban, and they are Cuban, and they came here with nothing and a 4-month-old baby, which was my brother. We had nothing for a very, very long time. No one I knew in my family was an entrepreneur except one great uncle who was very far removed, which I really admired because he had very nice things. And I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to have very nice things just like this dude, right? That really left an imprint on me. So I had that imprint, but at the same time, the majority of my family was like, people like us don't have money. People like us don't have businesses. People like us we go to school, get a degree, and then just get a nice job. That was my programming. Okay. So I just laid out to you my 3 different programs. And what happened because of my money programming was the first few years where I was opening businesses and I was 21, 22, 23, and I'm talking about brick and mortar businesses. I didn't have a lot of success, and it was really hard for me, even though my content was amazing and I really believed in what I was teaching. And I had this insight that I thought was really powerful. I couldn't get behind the idea of being a thought leader or being someone successful or having a successful business. Everything felt like a stumbling block, okay, because of my programming. So what happens when you are operating from that place, the subconscious templates? Here's what happens in that part of the brain. It's very linear and it looks at time 1 to 10. What do I mean by that? You're 0 years old, then you're 1, then you're 2, then you're 3, then you're 4. Okay. This part of your brain, it's like tracking like this. Okay. There's also parts of the subconscious mind that are deep and connect to other parts of the spiritual and etc. But I'm talking about the part of your brain that most of us operate from, where you believe that time is linear right now and experiences are linear. And everything kind of happens like this, okay? So what happens with, you have your programming and your templates from your subconscious mind, and then you're going to make a decision, right? And then your brain begins to look for evidence. That's what the brain does, okay? It's like, okay, I'm going to lose 25 pounds. Your brain is going to go, okay, let's think back to all the other times, Susan, when you said you were going to lose 25 pounds, and then you sat on a couch and ate cookies for 3 weeks straight and totally didn't even try. Okay. You bought that program and you never did it. You got that treadmill and it's in the basement. You did whatever and look where it is. Okay. So your brain starts to look for evidence of the times you did or did not do the thing that you want to do again. Okay. Same thing goes for romance. You think about setting up a dating profile and your brain is like, Karen, you remember that time you did the dating profile and then you met that psychopath who was trying to like sell you fish out of his trunk and not get on a real date with you? Or that crazy person want to take you to meet his mom on date 1, right? So your brain starts to go through, oh my God, we had all these experiences and look at how terrible they were, right? Evidence. It's looking for the evidence, okay? Same thing goes for money. Oh, I really want to start this business. This looks so exciting. And then your brain goes, remember that one time you started that business and it was like crap and like everyone was awful and you made no money and it was the worst? Right? Your brain will do that. It's looking for what it knows, which is evidence. Okay. It's looking for evidence. So you have that, and then you have the subconscious templates of fear. So the person there will just not make the decision. So you won't actually make a different decision. You'll just be in the place of wallowing, which doesn't make you grow. You don't learn anything. You don't go anywhere. You just stay where you are, right? That same operative place. Then you have people making a decision from the superconscious place. And this is what I call the hyper excitement place, because these people make decisions because they are pumped. They get motivated, they get inspired to make a decision, and they're like, this is the time. And it happens a lot around January 1st. They're like, it's January 1st. I'm going to lose the 25 pounds. I'm going to get into that relationship. I'm going to make it work. Let's start that business. I'm going to do the thing. Okay. You've made decisions in that place as well. How many of you are laughing right now as I'm saying this because you see yourselves and the patterns of when you've done this, right? So you have the subconscious, we fail at everything. We probably shouldn't even go there. We have the superconscious that's like, this time it will be different. I have massive inspiration and I can do the thing, okay? And then what ends up happening with that superconscious sort of excitement of like being able to see a different path, a different choice, is you'll make the decision to join the program, right? And I see this with my clients all the time. Join a group and finally decide to lose the weight, or go on a date on that dating app you've been wanting to go on, or start the business. They get really pumped and then they go and they say yes, and they start the business because this time it's gonna be different. And then those are the people that end up with shopper's remorse. Those are the people, because of their programming, because they have the same subconscious programming the rest of us do. Like, we all have it. But they bypass that negativity because they got so pumped about something, okay? And then they get buyer's remorse. And those are the people that end up quitting. Then they quit right away. They join the business, they hit a stumbling block, quit. They start the program, it gets hard, quit. They go on a date, it gets a little bit awkward, quit. Okay? You have that angle. But the same result occurs, no movement forward. You don't go anywhere. You stay where you were, except this time you've added more evidence to the pile of this never works out for me. And that's why it's so dangerous. Because when you're making decisions from these two places, these two extremes strictly, you will continue to pile on evidence, right? Because you haven't dealt with the conscious decision making, okay? So what happens in the conscious decision making? When you're making a decision in the conscious state of being, what does that mean? What does that even look like, right? Because by now you've probably identified with the subconscious decision making and also the superconscious decision making, but what does that conscious even mean? It doesn't mean the subconscious templates disappear. It doesn't mean the superconscious tendencies to hop on stuff because you're inspired disappears. What it means is that you are able to make decisions understanding your subconscious limitations and your fears, okay? Understanding your impulses and your motivation and your inspiration to have a different outcome. And in the conscious moment, when you understand both sides of this way that you tend to live, but you also decide that this outcome that you want is what you want. It is truly what you want. It is your heart's desire to really lose the 35 pounds and to show yourself that you can do that, to change your relationship to food and not be a slave to it anymore, to finally find a relationship and feel calm and happy in it, to finally get that business up and feel confident and driven in it, okay? In your conscious mind, you do a few things. And one of the things that you do is you do not stop until you get the result that you want. And that means when the templates come up to scare the pants off of you of why you can't do something, you look at them, you recognize them, you do the work around them, and you keep going. And when that super conscious inspiration comes in to be like, well, let's drop this and then do the other thing. And then we're like, nope. This is what I'm going to do. I understand where you're coming from. I know why you're suggesting that thing. This is the decision that we're going to make, and this is the result that we're going to have. It's this steady ability to continue towards what you want without becoming discouraged, acknowledging the activity in your brain, and figuring out the best way to get where you want to go. Okay. Why is this so important? This can also be summed up, this ability, okay? True, I keep going no matter what, even when things look crazy and scary. Yes. So this is also can be talked about in the growth mindset angle, okay? Fixed versus growth. Fixed mindset, someone saying, I don't know how to do that. It's too hard, and they stop. Growth mindset being someone who tends to look at something and say, yeah, this is hard. I don't know what it is, but I can learn how to do that. Okay? I can learn how to do that. Having the ability to tell yourself, I see the fear and the resistance. I see this like hyper motivated want distraction. That's the other thing the super conscious motivation does. It's like, oh, maybe this thing will work. Maybe this thing will work. It's like a distraction, like, oh, that kind of decision making. If you've been that person, that's definitely been me. So you end up buying all these things and then you never do anything with any of them. The kind of person who's like in the conscious sees their tendencies and continues to move steadily forward, understanding that if they don't know how to do something right now or something is not working for them right now, they can learn how to do that. They trust that they can learn how to do that, okay? They can figure it out. And this article that I'm going to share talks about this beautifully and how when you decide to take on one obstacle and overcome that one obstacle, you physically change your brain. Physically, your brain changes. And not only does your brain change in that one area for that one obstacle, but it actually spreads to other parts of your brain as well. So your mind map in general changes, and you become able to see other parts of your reality different than you were able to before. Okay? So if you learn the skill set of guitar playing, it doesn't just benefit the part of your brain that learns how to play a guitar. Okay? It benefits the other parts of your brain as well. Language, timing, rhythm, different parts of your brain get affected in a positive. Okay? Stay with me now. Stay with me now. The article continues to say, the more adept you become at something, the less your brain has to work. Okay, so now we get into the reason it's so hard for you to do something in the first place is because you've never done the thing before, and your brain has to work extra hard to get you to figure something out. But once you figure something out, it becomes a lot easier. It's like exercise in person's routine. At first, fitting in exercise feels impossible. You do it for a few months and it's like, I can't live without this. It becomes a necessary, okay? Because your brain is now no longer working against you to do something. It's now an efficient thing. You go in, you do the workout, you get out. You do the workout, you get out, okay? So you become more efficient. This article also introduces the concept of productive failure, which I loved. Loved that term, productive failure, because it's not the same for someone to teach you or explain to you how to do something and you do it yourself. And I see it in my groups as well. I can tell my weight loss clients, this is your fitness plan, this is your nutrition plan, spells everything out. Oh, thank you. Someone on YouTube just told me I have beautiful eyes. Thank you. Spell everything out, and they will still come to me and be like, I don't get it. And it's because I cannot give them the result of losing that weight or figuring it out. They have to try and fail through it. And when they do that enough, they figure it out and they become resilient. And that resilience, when their brain clicks, the obstacle gets overcome, that mind map changes. And all of a sudden, it's not just about their weight. Like you lose the 35 pounds. Like in my case, the first one I really was able to overcome was my relationship stuff. It was when I was my now husband, and that relationship was so healthy and so vibrant and has been healthy and vibrant. And I saw myself do that. And then I said, okay, if I can do that here in this relationship, I can figure out my food stuff. I just knew, like, I can figure out my body stuff. I can figure out the other stuff as well. Like I had this confidence, this trust. So what I'm inviting you to do is to think about one obstacle in your life right now that you have attempted and that you have not followed through on with yourself. One promise you made to yourself that you have not followed through on. And I want you to understand something. If you figure out how to do that, how to follow through on that one thing, and that doesn't mean just trying the same attempt over and over again. That means maybe getting a mentor if you never got one before, getting a program if you never did the program before, having a different environment. It means trying different angles for the same solution, okay? Don't do the same thing over and over again. Try different angles until you find the solution you want, okay? Until you get the result that you want. Keep trying, keep different things. And when you figure that out, your brain will physically change. And now you will have evidence to show you what you're capable of. And so the next obstacle that you decide to take on, your brain will be like, well, we've never done this before, but we did this. And this was hard. And we figured it out. So maybe I could do this. This is why in my particular organization, where I help people with fitness and weight loss and also building fitness businesses, the two are hand in hand. If I can get one of my new coaches, one of my new business partners, to figure out their fitness and really get that down into their body, into their system, and see themselves get strong and do things that looked hard and maybe drop the weight or gain the weight or figure out like a whole new angle of their relationship to health, suddenly they look at their business and they're like, okay, if I did that here, I can do that here. This was hard and I figured it out. I can do this next. And that's what I love about that particular business that I run, because it's so hand in hand. It's amazing. It transfers so easily. But in general, I love the fitness thing because it transfers so easily. If I can get a client in to start working on themselves and figure out that tangible thing of how to care for themselves and how to make that rock solid in your life, when they get that confidence boost of seeing themselves complete programs and seeing themselves tackle these hard self-care components of their life, they go into their world and they're like rocking the rest of their life. They're like, suddenly my relationship is better. Suddenly I'm killing it at my job. Suddenly all these other things are happening because they tackled one particular obstacle that they didn't think they could. Okay? It transfers so freaking well. Okay? So I do this video to encourage you to decide right now, what is the one thing that you are going to take on that you're not going to let yourself get discouraged from, that you're going to figure out the correct pathway to get you where you want to be, try a different angle that you haven't tried before, okay, to get you the result that you want. Pick it. Right now, you can tell me in the comments if you want. You don't have to. Tell me what that obstacle is, and then write yourself a commitment letter, okay? And tell yourself, this is the only obstacle I have to overcome. Instead of doing all these things, this is the one. This is the one thing I'm going to zoom in on, okay? And after that, I can take something else on. I promise you, if you take me up on this, you will be able to conquer every single thing that you want to achieve. You will understand your mind so deeply, so intimately, and discouragement, even though it'll continue to show up, it will no longer derail you the way it has all of this time. And you'll no longer be stuck in this trap of only doing what your subconscious mind tells you, or only getting those cycles of like hyper motivation and then being discouraged all over again. You will completely change your patterning, and you will see yourself accomplish amazing things over and over and over and over again. Take it from someone who has done it in all three of those areas and came from a very shitty place of belief, low self-esteem, came from a place of not believing she could grow a business at all, came from a place of not believing she'd ever have a healthy relationship, truly, truly balanced. I've done it. I went through it and I figured it out. And it's not because I'm a unicorn. It's because I was really stubborn, and I learned that if I could just figure out one key piece at a time, I could figure out the rest. I learned how to learn. And if you can learn how to learn, you're completely unstoppable. Okay? So hopefully you found this enlightening, inspiring, motivating. Maybe it gave you a whole new perspective on how your brain works. And so now you feel more motivated to go out there and really figure out what your one thing is you're going to take on. And please, if you're watching a replay, drop that in the comments. Like, do you feel more motivated now to really take on something in your life that felt like an elephant in the room that you couldn't take on before? Okay. I don't see any questions in the comments. Thank you. You are very flattering. I learned how to do it afraid. Yep. And again, I'm not talking about the emotional component, because of course, doing anything, when you don't know how to do it, there's a fear component. But for me, it was like my grit was more powerful than my fear. I just made my determination the stronger part of what I wanted to do. So instead of letting my emotional body lead my decision making, I let my decision lead my decision making. My decision was I was going to accomplish XYZ thing. My emotional body wanted me to stay somewhere else because my emotional body had an emotion, right? But if you make decisions, if you choose your life paths based on your emotional body, you will often be misled, because your emotional body is just processing an emotion that's coming through it. It's just processing something that's coming from somewhere. That's not where the decisions get made. They won't be consistent there. You make decisions and you hold it from a decision place. That's it. I decided I wanted to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. Okay. On the good days and the bad days and the better days, that's the thing that I'm going to do. And when you have a feeling, feel it. Like, it's not don't feel your feeling. Of course you're going to feel it, but that's not where you made your decision. And that's not where you hold your decision. Okay. Just remember that. Oh, Elle, I love you too. Diaries of a Wandering Artist. Yes. Thank you for hopping on. Yeah. So of course, if you have something like PTSD, which I think all of us to some degree have, or when you're dealing with emotion, doesn't mean don't acknowledge that. That means that understand that your decisions for the things you want to accomplish weren't made in that place. So that's not where you hold them, right? That's okay. And of course, when I talk about getting what you want, I mean what you deeply want, what your soul desires, your alignment, that thing that you're yearning for, that you're wanting to go for, but you keep holding yourself back from. That's specifically what I'm addressing. All right. Okay, I think this is it. We're wrapping it up. But thank you guys so much for hanging with me. Check the details down below if you're watching on YouTube for how to become a patron and join that community, or any more information that you want to hang on social if you don't follow me on social right now. Of course, subscribe if you're on YouTube and follow me there. Make sure the bell is set to all so you can get drops. By the way, an announcement. So for those of you following my fireside chats, they are now going to become Fireside Fridays. So they will be on Fridays once a week. And that's where I'm going to be dropping all the juicy current event stuff that I think is relevant, and tie it into, of course, like my ET tracking and all the other different rabbit holes that I go down to that are relevant to what's happening right now. So if you want to follow that, that's also going to be on my YouTube channel as well, probably in here because now I can multicast. But yeah, so the Fireside Fridays are going to be every Friday. They've sort of been random, but I wanted to let everybody know that they're going to be on a set date in case you want to be prepared and you want to attend. There'll be Fridays in the evenings, 8:30 EST. You can catch me on YouTube doing the Fireside Chats. Yeah, that was it. That was my last announcement. All right, friends, thanks for hanging. Have an amazing one, and go out there and take down that obstacle. All right, bye.